The following interview is with Dr. Ogolo and I. Dr. Ogolo is based in Nigeria, which is where I'm from, and I live in Texas now. But Dr. Ogolo is a petroleum engineer, and he'll be sharing with us some strategies to raise the next generation of engineers. In my STEM Excellence series, I hope to provide you with 2 interviews every week with professionals in different fields in the STEM arena. And my goal is to inspire middle school and high school students, and to learn about different professions in STEM, and I want their parents to be able to learn just the different needs out there, and then these students can hopefully receive mentoring and guidance as they navigate the landscape on whatever STEM field they're interested in. This is the STEM Excellence Podcast. My name is Amos Tarfa, or Amos the Math Guy. Please subscribe for more videos like this and reach out if you have any questions. The Learning Institute for Excellence is an ed tech company that is focused on revolutionizing education in the AI age. And this is one aspect of that, is through our podcast. Take care and enjoy the episode. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Amos Tarfa, Amos the Math Guy, and I will be doing an interview with Dr. Ogolo today. We are talking about STEM excellence and how to raise the next generation of engineers. So I will let him introduce himself here briefly, but I want to welcome you to this episode where we talk about strategies for middle school, high school, junior secondary school, senior secondary school, and university students to learn the skills necessary to become world-class engineers. Thank you for joining us, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Ogolo to share about his background and how he got to where he is today. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amos. Thank you for the wonderful work you are doing for STEM excellence. Programs like this help us to build and prepare the next generation of STEM experts. And yes, today the world is run by STEM, and without STEM, we're not going to be having the innovation as we have now. So if you remove STEM, the world is going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. Yes. So I must commend the beautiful work you and your team, you guys are doing. So my name is Engineer Dr. Ogenerume Ogolo. Based on my background, I hold a Bachelor of Engineering in Petroleum Engineering from the Great University of Benin. I also have an MSc and PhD in Petroleum Engineering from the African University of Science and Technology, and to also say that I'm a registered engineer here in Nigeria. So currently I work with the Petroleum Training Institute, where we train middleman power for the oil and gas industry, and also too we conduct research to see how we can meet the current needs of the oil and gas industry. And at the Petroleum Training Institute, we're really doing a great job to see how we can meet our mandates and produce people that is industry ready within our own capacity. So I think as time goes on, we'll talk more based on your question, but I know I've done a lot of work both in the petroleum industry and in the academia, and some of my work have been recognized. That's why last year I was selected among the SP International, the Way Energy Influencers. So I was given that recognition as an award because of my contribution as a young professional, right, to the petroleum industry. So I've done a whole lot on that. I have a patent. I also have about 3 copyrights. And so I have a lot of, because I apply excellence in what I do, both in teaching, in consultancy, and in research in the area of the petroleum industry. So I think as your questions are coming, if there are any issues or any area you want me to throw light on, I would talk more on that. So thank you.
Yes. No, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Part of what I'm doing for students these days is I'm giving them the tools on how to become engineers. This is one of the resources I use called Becoming an Engineer. And then there's another one called Engineering for Teens. I think that when students know what direction they want to go in life, and if they have a passion for engineering, mathematics, science, then they should start preparing while they're still, 12, 13, 14 years old. They should be looking at what problems do they want to solve and learn from others who have gone before them. So I really appreciate you joining this series where I'm going to interview people from as many branches of engineering as possible. I think one of the things we want to hear from you is, at what point did you decide that you wanted to become an engineer? What was it for you that led you to that point that you said, I want to become an engineer?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I come from the Niger Delta, and while growing up as a child, we used to watch the television. You see the oil and gas industry. You see the drilling operations, the refinery operations. So I just had a flair that I want to be a petroleum engineer. I could still remember my late father when he asked us, each of us that is each of us as at then, his children, that what do you want to become in life? And mine is just always that I want to be a petroleum engineer so that I can contribute or be part of those that would produce hydrocarbon for my dear country. So right from childhood, the passion, the vision, and the mindset was I developed it right from childhood because of what I see on the television, and I just have a flair for to becoming an engineer. Yeah.
Yes. So that's very interesting. One of the things that I think with career decisions is sometimes we're influenced by maybe our parents who might have gone into certain fields. Sometimes it's what we see in our society. But it's very interesting too, because sometimes, the way we've been wired, and, God gives everyone different gifts and abilities and talents. And sometimes even from a young age, we can know what direction we want to steer, go in. And for me, I remember when I was in primary school, I used to like science and maths. I was in Jets Club. I don't know if you remember Jets Club, but I was in Jets Club as a young boy. And now today I'm a scientist.
I know.
Yes. So it's amazing how even from a young age we can have direction and then we can
Great.
get there. So well done, sir. Yes, sir. Wow. And you mentioned the patents.
Thank you.
We mentioned a patent. If you don't mind, is there a way you can
also just
explain
comment.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
The patent you mentioned, what field or what kind of...
And to also mention is that while even after my first... Okay. So let me just talk briefly on the patents, which I have at the moment. Yeah, the patent came out from my PhD research. It came out from my PhD research. It's in the area of drilling fluid. And I want to say that while I was able to get a patent from the work, is that I fell back to the fundamentals of science and engineering. Like I myself, I'm a petroleum engineer, and I had to go back to start reading the principles of chemistry. Principles of chemistry. I have to start understanding the fundamentals behind the formation of clay. So because I was keen to knowing what is happening at the foundation, it now became very easy for me to understand the scientific principles that goes behind you being able to beneficiate clay. Like my PhD research is on the use of how we can start using Nigerian clay to drill oil and gas wells in Nigeria. Because the challenge we have here in Nigeria is that most of our clay samples, they have low swelling capability. And I found out that research that has been done in that area are not addressing the core issue, rather they are addressing the issue from the outside. So because of that, I had to go into the chemistry of clay, knowing what happens when it comes to clay beneficiation. And I could tell you that all those chemistry principles that have to do with displacement, reaction, and so on and so forth was what I looked at. Even our electrochemical series, I have
Wow.
to look at it because at the end of the day, I go back to the electrochemical series. I go back to different types of reaction. I calculated my rate of reaction, right, to determine the rate of reaction that takes place when I performed my own kind of reaction. So with that, it worked, and I have the scientific background to back up what I've done. And because of the novelty of the work, we had to file for a patent, and we got it in, that should be in 2021 or 2022, so I can still remember. And we do that, and with that, we've opened another area of research that scientists and engineers can still look into. And if the government of Nigeria also wants to start commercializing such kind of products, we also have it, and we are willing and open to collaborate both with the industry and with the government to see how Nigeria can start using local clay to drill oil and gas wells. But the whole invention, the whole patent, all emanated from fundamental research work, which falls back to our science, chemistry, physics. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Well done, sir.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
one question then is, what advice do you have for the future generation when it comes to preparing for engineering work in their future career path? What advice do you have for the upcoming generation? And then the last major thing I want us to talk about is collaboration opportunities, if that's okay. But go ahead, sir, please.
Okay, I did not get the last question.
What
Maybe
advice do you have for
you
the
can
up?
rephrase. I think we had network breaches.
No problem, sir. So what advice do you have for the upcoming generation that want to go into engineering? What skills should they be working on? And then how can we collaborate more between your work in Nigeria and my work here in America?
Okay, okay. Thank you for those beautiful questions. Like for the upcoming generation, the first thing I always tell them is that first, here in Nigeria, there is this notion that school is scam. I think you may have heard about it, right?
Not really.
School is scam. So I always tell them first is that you have to let go. Okay, okay. So I always advise them that school is not scam because quality education is a sure pathway to the future. So I always advise the young people to embrace education. So becoming an engineer, some of the right skill sets that you need to work on your mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
have a strong mathematical background. Also, too, you need to also work on your science subjects. You ensure that you have a very strong science background because it's going to be very, very helpful. And I always advise them that when you are taking a course at the university level, don't just read to pass an exam, but rather read to understand whatsoever thing that you have been taught. And I always use myself as a case study that for me, I try to always understand whatsoever thing that I'm taught. That's why today I can teach engineering with my eyes closed, engineering courses with my eyes closed, because I understand some of these principles. They are part of me, especially petroleum engineering. I can teach petroleum engineering with my eyes closed, and I'll be telling you what's going on here and there because I allow myself to learn the basics of petroleum engineering and be rooted in it very, very deeply. So I always advise students ensure that you know those basics because when it comes to research or application, we fall back to those basics, those sciences, and those engineering courses. Because when a student is taking research at that level, is not going to apply whatever thing that he has learned, both at the engineering level and at the scientific level, to now solve the problem that is before him or her. So I always advise them to ensure that they know the basics. The basics may be difficult, but with persistence and studies, effort, those things will become very, very clear. And also to advise students that they also need to have a picture or a dream of where they want to be. Because when you have a dream that, okay, I want to be a great engineer, I want to be a world-class engineer, those things kind of fuel they kind of fuel your passion, right? And see that you get there at the end of the day. And finally, I would also advise uh, incoming generation that aside just going to the university, going for classes, you should try to join a professional organization. Like me, I'm a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, and I'm the board member for SP Abuja section, and currently the student program chair for SP Nigeria Council. So as a student, I was privileged to be exposed to industry practitioners, because what the society does is that it brings people from the industry and brings them to the classroom to meet us as students, so that there could be that cross exchange of knowledge. We now know what is happening in the industry, and it helps us to be able to navigate easily from the classroom to what is happening in the industry. So I also advise students that try and be active in your student professional societies, so that as a student you get to now start getting mentorship from senior professionals, and you also get to know what exactly is happening in the industry. It's very, very key, and that has been one of my success, my ladder to success. I'm privileged to have mentors who guide me and tell me what to do, what is happening in the industry, and that has really prepared me for this great height that I've attained today. So, in terms of collaboration, like I've said, that there are a lot that we can do together, in the sense that we could have sessions or scenarios where students here in Nigeria could, benefit from your wealth of knowledge, especially how they can solve how they can become good when it comes to mathematics. Engineers and mathematics, we are like, we can't do without mathematics. So how they can become very, very good when it comes to mathematics, their chemistry and physics courses. So I think it's something that we look at for terms of us collaborating, where you would have platforms where you can share your secrets of excellence. And like I also told you, is that it's a form of giving back, because
Yes,
just
sir.
as we are today, in one way or the other, we may have enjoyed mentorship or professional advice. So it's an opportunity to give back, so that we join hands together to build a greater society for our dear country. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. No, I wanted to highlight this book, which I would recommend for your students, called From Counting to Calculus. So it's a good summer read or holiday read to show them how math starts from basic concepts all the way to calculus in one book. So that's part of my work in math education. Is I'm always interested in condensing mathematics books into concise material to help students learn efficiently. I love how engineers think, and I'm actually hoping to get an engineer's mindset, because engineers know how to break problems down and come up with solutions. And just learning to think like an engineer, I believe, is an effective way. It's an effective way to handle problems in general. So my dad was an electrical engineer in telecommunications, and today I talk about how I would love to learn electrical engineering myself. But what would you say are some of the fields of engineering right now that you're seeing more of a demand for? Just curious, in general, what field of engineering do you see a demand for?
Okay, at the moment, many of the engineering field they are now highly sorted for because the world today we are talking about artificial intelligence, right? We are talking about robotics, artificial
Yes.
intelligence. We are thinking of working very smart and so on and so forth. So the courses like mechatronics engineering is a nice course. The courses like even computer engineering is also good. Then you have software engineering that's of highly demand in the market at the moment. So these are like courses that are now highly sorted because whether you like it or not, if you are doing a business or you are running an organization, we no longer work the way we do before. We want to see how our system can become smart and the like. So that's why in the petroleum industry
Yep.
we also highly sought for the computer engineers, even the software engineers, because the petroleum industry, we most times we spearhead innovation and research in the engineering space. So we are also sought for this specialty. It's very needed to see how we can solve some of these life challenges. Then in the petroleum industry, as I just been a petroleum engineer, we're also looking at energy experts because the world today we're looking at how we can safeguard our environment. So we're looking for environmental engineers, environmental specialists. You understand that can
Mhm.
work to see how we can reduce our carbon emission, right? So we could safeguard our atmosphere. So that's why in the petroleum industry, we don't even call it the petroleum industry anymore. It's called the energy industry or the energy sector. We're also looking
Mm.
at those renewable engineers and specialties, yeah, and so on and so forth. So these are the skill sets that are highly sorted for. Then again, to also throw light on some skill sets that students need as an engineer, one of the most basic skill sets that an engineer should have is critical thinking.
Mm. Yes.
So you must develop your critical thinking ability because that's the problem solving skills that engineers have. We are critical thinkers. So if you give us a challenge or a problem, what do? We try to solve it. And I think most of my research breakthrough that I've had is as a result of critical thinking, being able
Mm.
to analyze a problem and solve that problem. And if you are working in the engineering space, you also need to have that critical thinking ability because, engineering is about solving problems, right? Yeah,
Yep.
we apply the principle of science to solve problems of humanity. When you encounter a problem or a challenge in the plant, the answers are not there sometimes. But with your critical thinking ability, you will be able to decipher what's actually going on in the plant, right?
Yes, sir.
Be able to decipher what's going on with the plant and come up with the right solutions for it. So I guess I've been able to answer the questions, or is there anything you're not clear with?
No, this is very helpful, sir. I think as far as collaboration, I definitely look forward to meeting some of your students later in the year, God willing, when you resume back. I would love to share
Yeah.
about some of the graduate school opportunities here. And then, we are not too far from Houston, Texas, where they have some programs. And of course, is a city that has a lot of connections to oil and gas, the oil and gas sector. So maybe someday, by God's grace, we might be able to meet here, or I'll meet you there, whichever way. But what at this current moment now,
Yeah.
do you guys does the Petroleum Training Institute do their work based out of Abuja, Lagos, or Port Harcourt, or is all over the country?
Okay, come again with your question.
Does the Petroleum Training Institute
Does the Petroleum Training Institute?
are they based out of Port Harcourt, Abuja, or Lagos?
Yeah, currently our main campus is in Delta State, Efron, Delta State. That's where we have our main campuses. We have three campuses here in Delta State. So, but we
Okay.
have liaison offices in Lagos and in Abuja. But where our students are trained is domicile here in Delta State. Because at
Okay.
the Petroleum Training Institute, we have facilities that you have in a typical rig or flow station. We have a demonstration flow station and demonstration rig, and we have some specialized equipment on campus where we used to train students so that students can actually see what's going on in the doing the petroleum production operation or when you are drilling a well. So we have those facilities on our campuses, and and that makes our students to be unique in the sense that before leaving a school environment or graduating, we have already exposed you to most of the operations that happens in the oil and gas industry. That's why sometimes some companies personally write to us that requesting for our students, both for internship and for job placement, because of the kind of quality of education that we offer at the Petroleum Training Institute.
Wow. Wow. Well done, sir. Well done. Um, I think my last major question
Yeah,
is
thank you.
in Nigeria. My last major question in Nigeria, when we talk about oil that Nigeria has, which is one of the largest, exporters, I'm guessing, in the world, are we mostly doing offshore, or do we get it on the in the sort of the land itself, or are we mostly offshore getting oil, drilling oil?
Okay, the oil that is being produced from Nigeria is both from the offshore and onshore. Onshore is land, from the offshore and onshore terrain. So that's where we do our production from. So we produce both from the offshore environment and both from the offshore environment. And we also have the inland basins as well. Also, too. Though the offshore environment tends to contain more reserve of hydrocarbon. So, but production comes from both environment, onshore and offshore environment. So Nigeria is blessed, so I must say, and we hope someday that oil would be a resource that will transform their country. Well, hopeful. Some of us have hope, still have hope in the country, because we are researchers. We know if the right things are there or are done, definitely there will be a change, just like we have Rwanda today in Africa. And so if the right things are done, definitely there will be a change. Because I'm an engineer, so I'm a researcher. I know with the right things are done, and we're ready as a nation, definitely would take up our role as the giant of Africa, which we've been ascribed to be. Yeah, so I know we have a lot to do as a nation, but I still believe in the country that with the right people in power, things definitely will get to change. And I'm an agent of change, positive change. Let me put it in that regard. So yeah, and I hope someday we'll bring the likes of you to the country, to come and this time it's not virtually, to come and teach our students. Yeah, to
Yes,
come and
sir.
teach them this basic science, and because yeah, we'll bring the likes of you to come and be teaching our students, so they have that strong educational background. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When you were sharing now, one question about oil came up again, which is, and I would love to teach, students in Nigeria someday, God willing,
Okay.
give them the tools. Nigerian students are blessed with very good, secondary schools and primary schools. I've seen the products of Nigerian schools. I've been blessed myself. I went to Federal Government College, Lagos, Ijaniki, so I
Yeah.
know I was blessed with teachers there too. But we did a project in SS3. where we had to make a document showing the oil, sort of the hydrocarbons and the details regarding organic chemistry and oil production. Now, one thing I don't remember now, though, is do we refine? Well, actually, one thing I want to ask about: do we refine oil in Nigeria now?
Yeah, we do. We do. We do. And now we have mega refineries, such as that of Dangote refinery. And we also have some modular refinery that are currently on refining crude. Yeah. So, and before now, we've had 4 major refineries in the country, though they were not producing up to capacity. But with the likes of these private refineries that are currently coming on board, like the likes of the Dangote refinery and some modular refinery that have been granted licenses. So we've really started that at the moment. So it's something we really wished we had been doing before, because the value chain where you get more economic prosperity is if you participate in the entire value chain of the oil and gas industry. So now that we are refining, we begin to get more value from it, because the products that are coming can be used in different sectors, both in the industry, domestically, and even in our homes as well. And in that case, that would create more job opportunities for our dear country.
Yes, sir. Wow, thank you.
So that's my response. Yeah, welcome.
So I think the next step for me, sir, is I'm going to prepare a little bit of an online sort of engineering module system that can help our students who are still in secondary school to take some of the notes of what you shared about critical thinking and mathematics. And basically, I want to write them a blueprint, very simple blueprint. And then maybe we can have more of these engineering discussions while we engage with them through Zoom or online, but hopefully also in person when when I visit, by God's grace. But my hope is that we can continue to raise the next generation through education that is geared towards the young, but then also collaboration for those who are already in university and above. So I really look forward to working with you and your team, sir.
Yeah, yeah. We also look forward to receiving you and also working with you, because I was so happy when I saw that there's a podcast on STEM excellence. Because whether you like it or not, we, in one way or the other, have benefited for such kind of opportunity. So it's now our job, our duty, to prepare the next generation of scientists and engineers. Like this evening, it's evening here in Nigeria. I had a call with one of my mentees, and I was just congratulating him and sharing my joy of how far he has gone, being as an engineer as well. Why? Because at a very early stage of his career, he was privileged to meet uh, senior professionals. And I myself, I was able to also mentor him. And today, he's even flying and doing a lot of great things, a lot of great things. So it's something that I look forward to. We working together to create a template for secondary school students, so that they would see value in education. They will see value in education, and with that, we'll be able to prepare them to be top scientists and engineers, in the future. So I look forward to such collaboration and us receiving you in person someday. And I think I'm glad. I will be glad for if all of these things, come into play as we are discussing.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Dr. Ogolo, and we will be doing more of these episodes with engineers. But Dr. Ogolo has set the stage for us, and we are looking forward to any questions you have. You guys can forward them to me, and I'll pass them on to Dr. Ogolo. But please, whether you're in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, America. Reach out if you have any questions about becoming a world-class engineer. And stay tuned for more of our episodes. So thank you again, Dr. Ogolo. And that's it for today's episode of the STEM Excellent Podcast, How to Raise the Next Generation of Engineers. Thank you.